Kiefer, could you make charjabug a gmax form pretty please? Sad face.
Okay. Whoa. Gigantamax is a phenomenon in the Pokemon world similar to Mega Evolution. Sort of. In Pokemon Swish, the gimmick was Dynamax. This is when for 3 turns you make your Pokemon really big. It gains some extra HP and its moves will hit a whole lot harder. Gigantamax is very similar, except on top of these changes, the Pokemon will change into a new form and have a signature Gmax move. It's the love child of Mega Evolution and Z moves and Attack on Titan. The cool thing about Gigantamax is that it isn't exclusive to fully evolved Pokemon like Mega Evolution is. Pikachu, Meowth, Eevee, and Duraludon can all Gigantamax. Granted, Duraludon didn't have an evolution at the time, so it was technically, I guess, fully evolved, but Eevee had 8, so I think I'm in the clear to do the same. For these Gmax forms, I wanted to choose a mid-stage Pokemon who take a while to evolve or have a more involved evolution method. I also think these Pokemon could benefit being in the spotlight a little more, since you might have them in your party for most of a typical Pokemon adventure. So let's do it. Let's get Charjabug and turn it into Charjabug. Oh my god. Okay, I hated that. Moving on. Right, so as requested, I will be kicking things off with a little old Charjabug. A really standout guy if you ask me. The Grubbin line is one I have admittedly never used in my playthrough, and that's really just because I never really bothered to raise the starting bug in any Pokemon game. But Grubbin has a really awesome evolutionary line, and its final form, that was kind of hard to say, its final form, Vikavolt, is quite a powerful Pokemon to have in the late game. They did this bug good. Charjabug is the middle stage of Grubbin and Vikavolt, and since this line is part electric type, the designers made it a battery, which is incredibly clever. I've made an electric starting bug as well for one of my Fakadexes, Meet Bulbug. It's not as good as Grubbin, I know. Because of the battery design, I thought if Charjabug were to have a Gigantamax form, it would most likely become some kind of power station / electric mega structure. I don't think it would be a wise design choice to have it opening up or kind of exploding or anything that insinuates that there's a creature coming from within, because it does that already when it evolves into Vikavolt. I think keeping it contained within the chrysalis would help it still read as a Charjabug. The colors are very much the same as its regular form, although I am adding that red glow to the eyes because that is a common design choice across all of the existing Gmax forms. Its little electricity rods on the front of its face are moved up to the top of its head to sort of simulate power towers. You know, kind of like ones that you would find at one of these mega structures. My only real point of reference is a dam. I've never been to like an actual power station or anything. There is a consistently flowing current of electricity that is surging between them as well. This is as if to allude to how much electrical power it is harboring during the transformation, as if there's so much power and Charjabug isn't able to quite contain all of it all at once. Charjabug has some little accents on its design, more specifically these decorative oval-like lines, so I added that into this form as well. A very important part of a Gigantamax artwork, which I almost forgot to add, are the Dynamax clouds. These appear on every single Dynamaxed and Gigantamaxed Pokemon. You just can't bypass the clouds. Those are the rules. The line art this time around was actually kind of fun because it was really super different to how regular Pokemon styled artwork is drawn. These lines are super thin, which help to give off the illusion that this creature is truly massive. They are also in the signature Dynamax red, which is the same line art color that is seen across every other Gmax official artwork. Shading and highlighting is all topsy-turvy with Gmax artwork. I'm literally figuring out how to do this like as I'm drawing it. This is pretty much my practice run. The shades are typically a lot darker and have a lot more opacity than regular Pokemon artwork, and the light direction comes from underneath. This is to further provide the illusion of the Pokemon's size, and it also provides us with the perspective in which we are viewing this Pokemon. In the case of Dynamax and Gmax, we are seeing this from the ground height, towering above us like it's a big thing. Okay. For the surge of electricity, I emulated the rendering of Gmax Pikachu's tail. The rendering of the Dynamax clouds wasn't too difficult. I very much just emulated from the reference that I had. Okay, time for Gmax number 2. It's Primape. I know this is another Pokemon who was unevolved in Generation 8, but it has an evolution now, so technically it is a mid-stage Pokemon. I had a rocky start with this design, let me tell you that one for free. I just started with a ball and then I put legs on it and no arms, by the way. I know you're going to be watching me draw this and you're going to be thinking, man, when is he going to draw the arms? And the answer is never. There are no arms. Mwahahaha. The perspective was really hard to get right and it took me multiple attempts. The only thing I really knew from this design is that I wanted its ankle braces to be mid-shattering and its fur to reference a cartoon bomb explosion. The idea behind this Gigantamax design is actually Primape's evolution method. I'm kind of viewing this Gmax form almost as a bridge between Primape and Annihilape. In case you aren't caught up on the official lore, in the canon, Primape is incredibly angry all the time. They often become so angry that they straight up die. Some of them, when they pass on, will actually evolve into Annihilape and gain the ghost typing. That's neat lore. I really love the idea behind it, even though it is incredibly grim. So for this Gmax form, I wanted to make a design that showed off Primape's absolute limit. This is what it looks like right before the anger fully takes over. Its fur is completely flared in every which direction. Its ears are pointed right up. The anklets are near bursting open, and it's even comically puffing steam out of its nose with the signature anime angry marks. In the render, I decided the steam being puffed out would actually work really well as the Dynamax clouds. I may have also forgotten to draw them in the sketch, so I didn't really have a position for them, but this worked out perfectly fine. It isn't on the top of the artwork or like above the Pokemon like it is on every other Gmax and Dynamax, but I honestly, well actually except for Orbeetle, yeah, it's fine. Okay, Orbeetle has it underneath, so Primape can have it around. When coloring in the fur, I added some yellowy tips, almost to show off that they've been flared and they're ready to burst into flames or fireworks or, I don't know, something that reaches its absolute limit. Finally, for the eyes, I was going to have them blindingly red with no iris or pupil, but then it just made the design look really unfinished. So I added some pupils and it completed the design very nicely. I've said design so many times that I'm really unsure if I've been saying it correctly. Finally, we have a legendary mid-stage, Cosmoem. Now, not a lot of legendary Pokemon can actually evolve. In fact, I think only like 2 or 3, maybe 4, but it's very little. This Pokemon is a proto-star, which is basically a baby star, but not a real star yet. So when I was sketching it out, I initially started with a solar system-like design, or attempted to at least. I thought it would be really neat to have it become a real star complete with its own planets, and it would also give me a good opportunity to introduce sun and moon elements. Seeing as those two things are commonly seen in a solar system, at least I would certainly hope so. I can't say much for what other solar systems are like, as unfortunately I have not been. Unfortunately, my sketches were not going very well, at all. I was actually really struggling in the trenches, if you will. I was kind of unsure how I would include all of these design elements, especially these spiky steel-like parts. After all, Gmax is just an alternate form, and honestly, not a form that changes a whole lot, maybe except for some, like Flapple and Appleton, but I don't know, that one's weird, they turn into the same thing. But basically, the bottom line is, I did not want to completely redesign this Pokemon, especially since it would kind of defeat the whole purpose of the Pokemon. Perhaps, I don't know, I'm rambling feeling. Eventually, I reached a much better design. This occurred after I shifted my design focus from a fully fledged solar system to a nebula. Think of a nebula as a sort of bubble that contains space junk such as atoms and other things from the periodic table of elements, stars. Wait, I don't think that's periodic table. You know, just science stuff. Can you tell I was an art major? So now cosmoem is one of those. I kept its base design and enlarged it to a more obviously oval shape. I also added a bunch more stars in its core. Taking design inspiration from the terrestrialized Terrapagos form, I added little stars that shine around the perimeter of cosmoem, and then using the same style as the Pikachu tail and charjabug electricity surge, I drew in these little pulses of energy which are shaped like the Pokemon Sun and Moon emblems. I just thought it'd be like a nice touch. Now for the Dynamax aura, I wanted to do something kinda different, cause you know, I'm a bit like that, sorta quirky if you will. You see, Calyrex here has a unique aura from all other Dynamax and Gigantamaxed Pokemon. It's blue. What? I love it. So for cosmoem, since I think it has quite a lot of significance in the pocket monster verse, I gave it an aura with a completely different color from both the red and the blue. Introducing the purple aura, you know, to keep in line with its cosmic theme. Splendid. Alrighty, it is finally time to take a big look at these newly Gigantamaxed Pokemon. First up is Gmax Charjabug. It is based on an electricity-based mega structure. Upon Gmaxing, it gains the bug-type signature move Gmax Power Hive. This move will do damage relative to the regular move it is based on, and additionally, it will inflict an infestation on the target Pokemon. Next, we have Gmax Primape. It is based on a comical bomb explosion via its anger. Upon Gmaxing, it gains the fighting type signature move Gmax Destiny Kick. This move will do its typical damage based on the original move, and additionally, it will replicate the effects of Destiny Bond. So once Primape is KO'd, its attacker will also go down with it. Last but certainly not least is Gmax Cosmoem. It is based on a nebula which is actually larger than our solar system. Most nebulae I think is the plural, most of them are, so you know, it's actually a lot bigger than I thought. Upon Gmaxing, it gains the psychic type signature move Gmax Eclipse Flurry. This move is actually unique in that it directly links with cosmic power. It has 100 power and 100 accuracy, and it sharply raises all of Cosmoem's stats. I thought initially this would be very OP, but it can't actually learn any damaging moves in its regular form, so once its Dynamax time is over, it will essentially become an impossibly sturdy wall whilst having a chance to hit quite hard for at least 3 turns. So, what did you think? Let me know in the comments as per usual. Please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every single Friday and Saturday if you live on Mirage Island just like me. It is currently the holidays, so the next few videos are going to be very low-key as I'll be doing a lot of traveling over the next few weeks. So I hope you're excited for those, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.